Welcome to the... We are live from Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and affiliates across Ghana, including Jubilee Radio, Keta A1 Radio, Radio Wa in Wa, Radio Max Takrade. Download the My Joy online app from the Play Store and App Store to listen live on the internet. Coming up.
Teacher Nino Shem Panasi. Tim or Pejano who say Akrana one who shall to Pejana.
4-year-old boy found dead in a neighbor's room in Obuasi in the Ashanti region. Residents fear for the lives of their children and demand tighter security in the area. We'll hear from the police who've just arrested the suspect. Also, Ghana Health Service defends superiority of COVID-19 testing regime at the country's airport, insisting there's no need to vary the test in spite of concerns of conflicting results of some travelers, including the afterbars.
We just want to say that our system is robust and he's not the only person who has tested positive or negative at the airports.
And in sports, President Akufo-Addo has formally called on corporate Ghana to fund $15 million needed for Black Stars AFCON and World Cup tournament. We have details of the meeting held at the Jubilee House this morning.
Also in this edition, 2 arrests and more than 130 mining equipment seized. The latest in government's fight to rid Ghana's water bodies of illegal miners.
When operations were halted for the day, 2 Chinese nationals were arrested at Atieku near Chufuprasu in the central region.
There's more as the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry's ban on prospecting and reconnaissance in forest reserves takes effect from today. Thank you for choosing us. We are home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I am Bernice Abubedulansa. Thanks for your company. The details now. Residents of Buete in the Obuasi municipality of the Ashanti region are living in fear for the lives of their children after a 4-year-old boy was found dead in a neighbor's room yesterday. Mother of the deceased, Obaya, said her child was bathing when she left the house to buy porridge, but she did not find him when she returned. She tells our sister station, Adom FM, that the body of her child was found in the room of a tenant identified as Kwame after a search.
I was at home with him and even bought him porridge for him to drink, but he said he wanted more. Later, I couldn't find him. After searching for him for many hours, my instincts directed me to my neighbor's room. There is a teacher who lives there, and he helped me to get access to one of the rooms. There, we discovered his body under the bed.
Teacher Nino Shem Panasi. Tim or Pejano who say Akrana one who shall to Pejana Untimin Kano. Don't know Pejano, me who saw by my friend and one Kano. Na me do me kabe catcher me ma me say Akrana champagne so a friend and one just.
You heard the mother of the deceased. Now, residents in the area are traumatized over the death of the boy. They fear for their lives and that of their children, and they are calling for tighter security in the area. My colleague Erastus Asare Donko has been following this tragic incident and joins us with more. Hello, Erastus. So what else have you picked up about the death of this young boy?
So we now understand from the police that when they picked the body, the boy, 4-year-old boy, was foaming in the mouth, and it looks like he has been strangled. Initially, the suspect went missing, escaped, and currently we understand he has been arrested. But police are still investigating, trying to interrogate to find out the motive for this killing.
And how did that arrest happen, Erastus?
Well, so we do understand that he fled the scene, left the boy under his bed after killing him, and went to a nearby town. The place is called Diewuso, and sought refuge in a pastor's residence. So it was the pastor who called the police and handed over the suspect to him. He has been explaining his motives to the police. Initially, the police say he looked dazed as if he was under the influence of some illicit drugs. And he said that he just had a voice in him telling him to kill the boy, and that's why he did it. But he doesn't have any other motive for killing the boy.
And Erastus, there are concerns that this issue of security in the area or killings in the area, in the Ashanti region in particular, is getting rampant.
Exactly. We have raised this issue before, especially from the time when women's bodies were being dumped at Santasi Prey, for example. There have been other killings. Many of them have not been solved by the police. And so it creates a certain fear in the residents of what will happen next.
Erastus Asaredonko is our man in the Ashanti region, giving us some details on this alleged murder, I must say, of a 4-year-old. Well, this afternoon, the Ghana Health Service is defending the superiority of COVID-19 testing protocol currently in force at the Kotoka International Airport, insisting there's no need to vary the regime yet. This follows recent concerns about alleged false positive results obtained at the airport by the Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Wamkele Mini. John News has cited copies of negative PCR results from tests he took after receiving the earlier results from the airport. My colleague Manuel Cranting joins me with details of those results. So, Manuel, just give us details.
Well, so we know that there have been 3 tests that Wamkele Mini has taken. The first one was taken at the Kotoka International Airport, conducted by the Frontiers Health Services. And we also know that 72 hours before he arrived in Ghana, he had taken a negative PCR test. And then also we are told, according to a statement from the AFTA Secretariat, that he had taken the Johnson & Johnson vaccine about 2 weeks before he arrived in Ghana. Well, the first test that he took at the airport was conducted by Frontiers, and that test came out positive. He did not agree with that result, and the reason for which he went to take 2 subsequent tests from other labs. And we must emphasize that these other labs have been licensed and certified by the Ghana Health Service to undertake these tests. And so anybody who takes a test at these labs can actually use their certificate to travel out of the country. The first one is Leading Medical Laboratory, and that test is not an antigen test like he took at the airport. This is a PCR test, and the test came out negative.
Okay.
And the first test, which was at the airport, was taken on 23rd April 2021. Now, the second test was also taken on 24th April 2021. The first test was positive, the second one negative. He went on to take another test at the Trust Hospital, and that also was a PCR test, which also came out negative on 24th April 2021, Bernice.
Well, the Ghana Health Service says the testing regime at the airport is robust and does not need any review. Dr. Dacosta Boaje is Director of Risk Communication and Community Engagement of the National COVID-19 Response Team.
We just want to say that our system is robust, and he's not the only person who has tested positive or negative at the airports. Patients, and we will send to him all the key, obviously, and he should comply with the directive. Once our system picks you up, it is our system that will validate you. We should respect the procedures that we have in the country. Like I have explained, we deal with so many patients. We have our system. We are saying that this is risk reduction that we are doing. We always make sure that the protocols are complied to by all persons entering our country, irrespective of status. What I'm saying, we don't do exemptions for anyone.
Senior researcher at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, Dr. John Omoisi, agrees. He's been speaking on the Super Morning Show.
It will be very tough to introduce a PCR test at the airport. This is not what is done all over the world, even in places that have the luxury of finances, because it takes time and it's actually more financial burden on the system and ultimately on the individuals. So the antigen test, the point of care diagnostic, is what is recommended. I must say that the point of test diagnostic, which we are using here in Ghana, as far as I know, is even superior to what is being used in many advanced countries, because it's not necessarily your rapid test, but it's a point of care diagnostic, which is a little more sophisticated and better to perform and better to administer. It has its downsides. There will be false positives. So the false positives, to reduce the...
That was Dr. John Amoisi, Senior Researcher at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Well, there are fresh and tighter measures being initiated by government to curtail the importation of COVID-19 into the country. With the rising number of positive cases at our airports and the alarming rate of infections in Asia and South America, government has asked the general public to either cancel or postpone all non-essential travels to high-risk countries. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has details of that travel advisory issued by the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Government says all travelers arriving in Ghana will have to self-isolate for 10 days, even if they test negative at the airport. For those arriving from COVID-19 hotspots, the advisory says they may even be subjected to repeat tests on the third day, even if they tested negative on the day of their arrival. All PCR test results from countries of departure will be taken through special verification to weed out fake results. And for those leaving Ghana, the advisory says only test results or certificates bearing trusted travel or biomass codes will be considered valid.
Let's stay a while on COVID-related news. Government is expected to take delivery of over 300,000 AstraZeneca vaccines. Fred Smith, head of our health desk, joins me with what we know so far. So, Fred, have the vaccines arrived?
No, Bernice, they've not arrived yet, and we understand that there have been some delays in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where we're supposed to get the dispatch from. Unfortunately, we don't know when next they will be able to dispatch the vaccines. They are 350,000 in all. It's our share of the 1.3 that the UNICEF and the COVAX facility is redistributing because the DRC has not been able to utilize that. And on Sunday, we're also expecting to receive some 300,000 Sputnik V vaccines also from Russia.
Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, they're away from health. Government says its operation to rid the nation's water bodies of illegal miners has so far seen more than 130 mining equipment seized. President Akufo-Addo on Wednesday deployed soldiers to seize all equipment being used to mine along and in water bodies. Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul has been given an update on the exercise so far at a news conference in Accra today.
With simultaneous activities on the western and eastern banks of River Pra by the infantry elements, while the Navy and engineered troops conducted riverine operations on the river. The Ghana Air Force provided air cover and took aerial photographs of the operations. And by 18 hours, which is 6 p.m., when operations were halted for the day, 2 Chinese nationals were arrested at Atieku near Chufu Prasu in the central region. The Chinese, Wei Gang Ying and Wei Gang Ming, have all been handed over to the National Security for further interrogation. They will be prosecuted.
Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul there. Well, my colleague Joseph Akable just returned from that Information Ministry news conference and has more details. So, Joseph, what happens after this first leg of the operation?
And so the armed men have been asked to continue to patrol the various areas where they visited, and they've been given instructions to take action against persons who return to mine in these areas.
The president has directed that we'll clean up the river bodies. And like I said, we are not taking any equipment home. We are not seizing any equipment. No equipment to be returned home. It's not like before where you seize equipment. They would all be destroyed on site. It's as simple as that. So there is nothing like we are taking excavators, we are taking battery, nothing will come home. Everything will be destroyed at site. Take your equipment and don't go back again. It's as simple as that. And 2, I did not say that Galamsey areas you are going to go around destroying and beating up people as like you said. No, that's not what I said. I said that when the military sweep past a place, for example, as they are currently sweeping past River Pra and do the operations and cleanup on the river bodies and the forest reserves, there will be constant monitoring of what they have done by the Ghana Air Force with assault people on board. And so don't think that You will go back after all. This is a 3 days wonder or 9 day wonder. No, don't go back. That's all that I said.
Joseph, so did the minister indicate what exactly will be done to persons who go back?
No, except to say that they've been directed to take action, and he wouldn't give the details of what that action is. But he says, if you go back, you go at your own risk.
And he addressed this news conference with the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And we know that the Minister for Lands gave a 7-day timeline for those engaged in prospecting in forest reserves. What's the latest?
That has elapsed, and so if you are engaged in prospecting in any forest reserve, you are supposed to withdraw. If you have failed to withdraw, then be rest assured that he says a monitoring team are observing, and once they pick information that you are still around, they are going to move in. The National Security Operatives are going to move in to apprehend you and destroy your items, your equipment.
At the level of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, we have put together a monitoring and evaluation team headed by the Honorable Benito, MP from Wabieja, who is the Deputy Minister in my ministry. And that monitoring team is going to come out with a statement this afternoon. We're establishing a situation room. We are putting out telephone lines. Ghanaians can call to report that I live in Apamprama. There's a forest reserve. People are still engaged in prospecting there, or people are mining a forest reserve. The monitoring team will then alert the national security architecture apparatus so they can move in. In addition to that, and in accordance with the highest standards of transparency, I have here in my hand a list of prospecting recognizance licenses within forest reserves, those granted and those pending. And we have 105 of them. You have them, the particulars are name of company, name of forest reserve, location of forest reserve, municipal district, location of forest reserve region, date of forest permit, date of expiry, and all of that.
You heard the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo. To some election-related news, and former President John Mahama is pushing for the deployment of professionals to thoroughly police the 2024 electoral process at all levels. According to the NDC's 2020 flag bearer, the party has established that, quote, illiterate party agents deployed to man polling stations negatively affected the fortunes of the party, end quote. He argues that the expertise of NDC professionals will be required in the transmission of election results and collation of same, and also to ensure the integrity of the 2024 polls. The NDC, after the declaration of the 2020 presidential polls, dragged the EC to court, challenging the outcome of the polls amid claims of electoral fraud and other irregularities, a petition which was quashed by the 7-member panel of the Supreme Court. Speaking at an annual conference of the NDC's professional forum, Mr. Mahama charged them to offer to become electoral officers during elections, a move he believes would serve in the party's interest.
As has been said, elections are won or lost at the constituency level on the ground, and we must ensure that we have more professionals, more educated people coming into play in respect of policing and monitoring the elections at the grassroots level. And so collation of results is an important activity that the expertise that you people carry can help in terms of collating the party's results in good time, and then also transmitting the results. I mean, a lot of you in your professional work have had to use information technology, IT, and now IT is becoming, very important in terms of transmitting results and getting results in good time.
The former president also maintained that the hearing of the 2021 election petition was designed to aid chairperson of the Electoral Commission evade accountability.
The court case has ended. We were scored 7-0 on many occasions. We asked for replay 7-0. And then one time it even went to 9-0. And then the final score was 7-0. And so it brought to an end the processes of the presidential election, especially considering that we decided not to go for a review. And so it means that we have brought an end to the presidential election processes, even though we disagreed with the ruling of the court because we believe that a lot of things went wrong, and it was most unfortunate that the court did not give the opportunity to the Electoral Commissioner to come and defend her own declaration of the presidential results. We have no option as a democratic party that upholds the 1992 Constitution. As I said, we are bound by the ruling of the court. And so it brings to an end the presidential election petition and everything to do with the presidential election in the 2024 election, 2020 election. And somebody announced that.
Former President John Dramani Mahama. Let's get onto the phone lines now and speak to the party's Director of Elections, Elvis Efriankwa. Thank you for your time this afternoon, sir. So how do you respond to critics who say that Mr. Mahama's latest comment is an admission, really, that the party could not collate the 2020 election results since the report submitted by some regions revealed that illiterates were deployed to man some of the polling stations?
I think we have been very, very unfair to the former president. I think he's been taken out of context. If you listen to his speech carefully, he spoke for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and he just made an anecdotal comment that when we went to Ho in one of the regions, one regional secretary complained that in a particular polling station, the agents were illiterate. And so the national chairman then asked who was responsible for recruiting the agents. So I don't think it is fair in a situation where we have 38,622 polling stations and we recruited 4 agents per polling station. So you have a total of 154,488 polling stations across the polling agents, and we deployed a minimum of 2 per polling station. So that is 77,244 polling agents across the country. So if he is saying that at our retreat, somebody made that comment, and the rebuttal from the chairman was that you were the ones who were supposed to get the proper agents, I don't think it's fair to jump to the conclusion that he is saying that there were illiterates across board.
So, Mr. Efriankwa, sorry to cut in, but so are you saying that he's not pushing for the deployment of professionals?
No, but you must place the matter in a proper context.
It clearly indicates then that there was a certain gap, doesn't it?
If you are recruiting and deploying 154,488 people, and you deploy 77,244, definitely you cannot have 100%. It is these same agents that were able to get us our results, that were able to get us our pink sheet. On the basis of the results which we had, by the 8th of December, we noticed that there were a lot of anomalies and irregularities. And that is what led to the pink sheet audit, where we discovered a lot of discrepancies, and that led us to court. So I'm saying that the issue should be put in proper context. An election where we won, we had about 6.2 million votes. Of course, we are not satisfied with that result. We wanted to win. And therefore, after such an election, you do an introspection. You couldn't, when you're dealing with a human institution, you cannot get 100%. But at any given time, you try to improve upon your performance. And even if we had won, we will still want to do better in subsequent elections. So it's only proper that we do an introspection. If there were a few places that people who otherwise were not fully qualified but went to do that work and they were found to be incapable of, we do it and then we analyze it. But I think it is not proper, it is not fair, it is unintellectual, it is unacademic to conclude that by making that off-the-cuff remark, that it means that majority of our agents were illiterate. I don't think that is what he meant, and that is not what he said.
Okay, but that's not what our story sought to put out. We said that he had mentioned that some agents were illiterate and he was pushing for a deployment of professionals. But we are grateful for your time here this afternoon. That was Elvis Efriankwa. He is Director of Elections of the National Democratic Congress. And you're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. We've got more, including sports, to stay.
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Klenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Aflao. In the Eastern region, we're on K Poly Radio in Kofrodia. In the Northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the Upper East region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrot FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
Thank you for staying here on the Midday News. It's now time for sports.
Yes, and the latest is that President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has made a passionate appeal to corporate Ghana to fund the $15 million needed to complete the budgetary requirements for the Black Stars. Ghana will participate in next year's AFCON in Cameroon and the World Cup in Qatar should they qualify. President Akufo-Addo met key financial institutions at the Jubilee House this morning.
The African Cup of Nations continues to be a running sore in our country. In the early days after independence, we were the dominant force in the competition. But next year, when the competition is going to be held in Cameroon, I believe in Yaoundé, it will be exactly 40 years since we won the competition the last time. They say a lot of the time, it's not that you have a competent manager, but you want a lucky manager. And hopefully, this time around, we've assembled young men who are going to bring us some luck. But they need your help. I don't think we should be beat about the bush too much. The finances of the government, at the best of times, is not the healthiest. But all of you are aware of what has happened in this last year. The COVID pandemic has meant that the public revenues of our country have taken a very big hit. And we're now gradually trying to repair it. But we will need your assistance for that final lap that the Black Stars are going to run to get us to bring us the cup.
So that's President of Ghana, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo.
Thank you, Mubarak Haruna. There, let's do around the country now. We start off in the Ashanti region, specifically in Sakrawono, where residents have been demonstrating. Manuel Kranting is here to tell us what it's about.
Yeah, so Ben, there's a broken bridge in the community, and members of that particular community fear they may be cut off from the rest of the district. Lava FM's Tanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
The community, led by Queen Mother Nana Amenyako, thronged the streets to register their displeasure at government's delay to fix the deplorable road. The Queen Mother threatened to stop government functionaries from attending the final funeral rites of former NPP General Secretary Kwadwo Osuafiye Sir John if the road is not fixed. She says, "We are pleading with government to complete the project for us. If they refuse to do so, we will bury our deceased without them. They should at least honor Sir John with this road." Meanwhile, District Chief Executive for the area, Osei Bonsu, says road projects in the Kwabri East District have progressed at a slow pace for.
Well, let's head to the central region now, Manuel. There's a clash between religion and education at the Wesley Girls School.
Yeah, so Ben, after a father stormed the school to withdraw his child due to the school's refusal to allow her fast during Ramadan, the Muslim caucus in Parliament met the leadership of the Methodist Church, and the church has assured it will resolve the issue.
And ahead of that, though, the chief imam has been speaking about this.
Indeed, his spokesperson, Sheikh Arimi Al-Shaibu, says the chief imam is deeply concerned and wants the situation urgently addressed.
Really, we must all get to address this thing so that when we can address it once and for all, it will be helpful because it has security implications. The anger is something that terrorists can exploit. I have no doubt in that. Let us not provide the soft spot for terrorists to say that Muslims are mistreated in Ghana and so therefore they can recruit. I tell the Minister of National Security, it's a matter for national security and they must get involved.
The spokesperson of the Chief Imam Sheikh Aremeyaw Shaibu ending around the country. It's now time for showbiz with Mapito.
Okay, Bernice, last week Sam Jonah was trending, and he, in his speech, he was talking about lyrics that nowadays the lyrics don't make sense, are not relatable, and Kwame Eugene had to say about that, something to say about that.
Music it's like it's seasons. Sometimes you even have to do songs for summer prior to some big events that's about to happen. Maybe you have Ghana Party in a park. That show packs more than over 20,000 people. And you have more than 15,000 Ghanaians there. And amongst the 15,000 Ghanaians, you probably have 12,000 young ones there. To a crowd like that, that's paying probably one of the highest pay we get in the industry for a show. You can't go and sing Boko there. I remember Baby Girl with Strongman was very big. I was on that same platform. And they sang it, I'll be here to lay your bed. They were all quiet. I was like, oh snap. 15,000 of them can't sing because they live in UK. But they understand. So if you were to give me joy, Angela.
The easy ones.
Yes.
So that is it for showbiz.
And that's how we end this edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Bernice Abubedulansa. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Top stories, election 2020, deployment of some illiterate agents at polling stations affected our outcome. Do stay with us here. We are home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Up next is Living Word with Dr. Mensur Tabo.
When you want it, just Momo it. When you tire for the long queue in the supermarket, just Momo it. And when you really want that beautiful new blouse too, just Momo it. And when you won't get that trim, when you go get fresh to impress, you know who, just Momo it. And when you need to pay that your utility bill and domestic staff set, just